See Brown in your face.
Have you heard of Everything at Once?
Do you know about Everything at Once?
It's internationally known.
Aliens listen to it.
It's the best ever.
If there's something you're looking for in the 814, or feeling a little bored and think there ain't no more, check out Everything at Once and allow it to be your source. It's that raw podcast that's always showing support, highlighting the scene. No need to take I-90 to Peep or 79 to see how it be. Interviewing your locals with mindsets that are global. Innovators and creators on every single upload. So much going on in the EPA.
Incredible content.
Everything at Once will keep you up to date.
Amazing guests.
What you doing? Come through and hang with Tony and Dave.
Community driven.
Bringing everything at once from around the way. Everything at once from around the way. Hey.
Please listen. We love you. Everything at Once.
Everything at Once.
Hello again, all you intergalactic listeners. We would like to start today's broadcast with a special thanks to all of our Patreon producers. Brian G, Josh W, Ian D, Nick G, and Sadie M.
Patreon is an awesome way to support this show and say thanks. You can become a Patreon supporter by clicking the link below and choosing to be an intern, assistant, or producer level supporter.
And when we hit 10 Patreon supporters, Dave is going to perform an incredible feat that is yet to be determined.
Hopefully it's something good.
We also want to thank all the local businesses and sponsors that supported this episode. These businesses get the Everything at Once stamp of approval. We couldn't do it without them. And for those of you who have not heard, there are some interesting changes going on at Cauldron and Thorne.
Yeah, what's going on there?
2 years ago, America's first family of darkness landed in Erie, Pennsylvania. In a few short months, they built the world's largest shop, dedicated to the magical arts and metaphysical sciences. This summer, they invite you to explore the shadows of the human experience. A carefully curated catalog of arcane artifacts and occult ephemera for the discerning collector. Cauldron and Thorne proudly presents The Dark Curiosities of the Vault.
Well, Dave, they invited me back, and I checked it out, and I've got to say there is some incredible, extraordinary, paranormal stuff back there that's really just, it really takes it to the next level. They're going above and beyond what they're used to out there.
You always get all the sneak peeks. Damn it. But you know what?
Next time.
Next time, indeed. I'm super pumped. Is there anything else you can say about it?
Well, not a whole lot right now. You're just going to have to go back there and check it out yourself when the vault is finally open.
And I will be going there. We'll be going to Cauldron and Thorne, which is located at 2724 West 8th Street. I'll be going there in person to see what's in that vault, since you already got that sneak peek, you bastard. But anyways, I guess we should just get back to promoting the sponsors.
Yeah, let's get back to promoting the sponsors. Solid State. Solid State takes pride in all home remodeling projects. Solid State specializes in bathroom remodeling, kitchen renovations, windows and door installation, custom design work, and more, including painting, flooring, drywall, siding, decks. Get your free quote today by calling Nick at 814-397-7854. Solid people, solid product, Solid State Construction.
Got a problem with your car? Tommy's Automotive can take care of everything car-related. Tommy's Automotive is a reliable, trustworthy service provider.
That's right. Tommy's Automotive can take care of brakes, exhaust, fluid changes, spark plugs, and all other maintenance needs.
Tommy's Automotive also does fluid film undercoating to keep your car from getting eaten alive this winter by rust. Book your appointment today. Call Tommy at 814-384-8088.
And now, what you've all been waiting for, our next guest, Adam Stempka of Stempka Designs, world famous metal fabrication artist.
What an interesting story Adam told us on the show, with just a wonderful background with welding and family and faith and recovery that brought him to the place that he is today.
Just shows that anything's possible as long as you put your mind to it. Even those things that we are told are not possible or think aren't possible, with enough work, we can get there.
You just keep on doing the next right thing for the next right reason, as they say. And the next right thing for the next right reason is to check out this episode.
Check it out. We love you guys.
without further ado,
Adam Stempka. Just keep going, just keep grinding.
Just keep grinding, just keep going, and visualize what you want
Right.
to be.
Make it.
I'm a huge believer in that.
In manifestation.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree.
Yeah, it's as real as it is. It's like the power that you have inside of you, God-given in my opinion, and your imagination and your ability to visualize where you want to be, like you will meet that reality later on. I've done it several times.
Right.
I know it's real.
I mean, you just got to keep putting that work into. You can't just visualize as well. It's visualization with the action.
And convincing your subconscious that you believe it, because then that makes you actually do the things you need to do to fulfill it,
Exactly.
in my opinion.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a good process. And did you read like the book, The Secret?
So I read Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
Okay, excellent book, changed my life. To go a step further, Neville Goddard, I think, is one of the most incredible teachers. That's more in a spiritual sense, but it's teaching the same principles. You know, Bob Proctor, who's passed away, the Napoleon Hill Institute. I think those are all very legit.
See if we can move this mic a little bit closer
Yeah.
towards you. So you can stay calm.
Yep.
Boom. That's going to be awesome.
yeah.
So did you read these books a long time ago, or is this recently?
This was about the time I was getting sober, so my mind was really fresh to taking on new ideas or trying something different. And I was doing a lot of praying at that time too, because, you know, I've always been spiritual, and I've always known God is real. It's like ingrained in me. But when I was doing things that I probably shouldn't have been doing, it's just like, you know, I
Right.
knew he was
Hide that.
there hiding from him, I guess. And I remember after I thought I had this disease, you know, kicked many times, that I didn't. And I remember begging him to show me the truth about religion and him. And, you know, if this is all life is, I don't know that I want to live anymore.
Right.
And that's not all life had to offer at all. It's completely changed my life, and I'm excited to wake up every day. And I for the first time and you know, prior in my entire life, you know.
Yeah.
So
Without that drive and without that, like, intuition of something greater that things are going to work out, to me, like, it's all about having that little bit of hope, however you find it, through God, through spirituality, through that belief in manifestation. You know, you got to, especially when you're in like the low points in your life, you know,
Yeah.
if you think that this is going to be permanent and this is going to be forever and I'm always going to be miserable and life is always going to be fucked up,
Yeah.
you're, you know,
Yeah.
you got terminal depression at that point.
yeah, and I've been through that. And I'm not saying that every day is perfect now by
sure.
any means, because it's not. I still worry too much, or sometimes, you know, have anxiety. But I've learned that go exercise, Adam, eat better.
Yeah, right?
You know, those things that I never thought in a million years would actually do something, 100% do something. You know, before I came here, of course, I'm a little nervous. I've never met you. I'm going to go on a podcast. I've never
Well,
been
thanks
on
for
one.
coming by.
Well, you know, and so I went to the gym.
Yeah.
And now I feel like $1 million. You
Right.
know? So preparing for things that are coming, and you taking care of your body and mind and stuff will just put you in a whole different mindset. And, you know, it just makes life easier.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take care of it. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't recognize how big of a change, like, having a little bit, being like even the slightest bit health conscious makes a difference in like so many aspects of your life.
It does.
You know, drinking enough water, going to the gym, all those things you describe.
And it's like it's all this stuff that you get told as a kid, basically.
Yeah.
You know, like, make sure to stay fit, eat your vegetables, don't do drugs. And like, at least for someone like me, it was like, well, no, I'm going to try to do things my own way because this is bullshit.
Yeah, fuck
you
all
know?
that other shit. That's no fun. That sucks.
Yeah, that was me too. You know, if I would have just listened to my parents, as ridiculous as that sounds,
Oh my
I could have
gosh.
saved myself.
They're
so
always
much.
right.
They're always right.
They were.
But you know, sometimes I sit and I think, all the things that I went through, as hard as they were, self-inflicted,
Sure.
I don't know that I would be prepared for what I'm doing now. So
Yeah.
is that by design? You know, I don't know. You know, I could have got caught up in a bunch of different things that would have slowed me down, or a different life. But I think being beat up, kicked in the nuts, whatever you want to call it, prepares you to change it all, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, it's character development.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like in any book or any video game that you ever play, your guy doesn't start out being super strong. You got to make him fucking powerful. And then at the end, you're just owning everything. You know what I mean?
You level up.
Yeah,
you get
exactly.
the perks.
You get
know?
the stronger sword or whatever it is in the game that helps you tear through shit.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, the low points make the high points sweeter too.
They do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I am so grateful. You know, I find myself constantly thanking God throughout the day. I pray every day. You know, I literally lean on him. And I think, in my opinion, that's what God wants, you know, is to be reliant on him, because he's running the whole show, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's got it all figured out mostly.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to have a little bit of faith,
100%, yeah.
a little bit of belief. So were you always doing metalworking even in when you were still using, or is this a newfound passion for you?
So I grew up in a metalworking family. Anybody that's in manufacturing and welding in this area has probably heard of my family, the Stempkas. We own Advanced Welding. We had Stempka and Sons Welding. So I just grew up around it, constantly working with my grandfather and my father. I was always really drawn to art and very, very good at it.
Sure.
And going through high school, you know, there was times where I'm like, I should go to art school. But looking back, I think that I was a little bit embarrassed to say that, because
all these tough, manly welders.
Tough, manly, you know, I couldn't even imagine facing my one grandfather and being like, I'm going to art school. I think I would have been laughed at.
Yeah.
And then there also, you know, was my father looking out for his son. How many artists do you know that go to art school?
Oh, yeah,
that
for sure.
Make a good living and stuff. So he's trying to be a dad. And, you know, I had the ability to start out making good money, you know, doing that kind of thing. And so that's kind of the direction I went. I worked for the family business. I worked for Erie Weld Products. I was at the shipyard for a while. And then I ended up at General Electric.
Okay.
And to your point, during my issues with drugs and alcohol, I continued to work at those places. Now, I was let go from places. I was fired at different times, you know, because of the issues with that stuff. I know many other people have been through that. It didn't make it any easier.
It's kind of like welding, and a lot of blue-collar jobs are really kind of a drinking man's job, you know what I mean?
100%.
You go to work, you work hard, you do shit that requires your body and being strong, and then afterwards you kick back, you have a couple brews with the boys at the bar, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I loved that. You know, I don't know if when I was younger I had like an anxiety or something, but I just know that when I would drink or use drugs, that all went away. And you've heard that a million times from other people, right? I thought in the zone, and all of that went away and in that flow state. But in reality, anybody sober that's seen me probably, what is this jackass doing? You know?
Right.
But you don't see that, especially when you're young.
No,
you
dude,
know?
you're king shit, you know what I mean? You got the beer muscles, you got the beer confidence. And I feel like it took me a really long time to realize that it wasn't me actually being good or better at anything. It was just the chemicals in my brain telling me that I was. You know what I mean? Anybody that's spent time with somebody who's drunk and they've been sober usually recognizes, like, this person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is not the same person that I know when he's sober.
It reminds me of like that one meme you see on the interwebs where it's like how you think you look when you're drunk dancing. And it's like a supermodel just like looking all nice, and it's like what you really look like, and you're like cross-eyed and sweating and like
Right, exactly that.
but just with any aspect of life, you know.
Yeah, I remember thinking at a time, I was convinced that I just needed something to function like a quote-unquote normal person.
Right.
And that was just a lie that I was telling myself, you know. You know, so many people have been through this. It's affected so many different families. you know, and I have no problem talking about it because I've forgiven myself mostly, and I want to try to help other people when I can. Now, I don't go around telling everybody my history, but I certainly, if the opportunity is presented to me and I see someone struggling, man, I'm right there to try to help them, because I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Oh yeah.
It's horrible. You know, it really is. You know.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing like, you know, the disease of, you know, addiction mixed with depression and anxiety and all the other things that come along that partner up so well with it. And you think you're medicating yourself, you know, you're getting better, you're able to function now, and really you're, you know, trying to swim with cinder blocks on your feet.
Yeah. And it, I still have moments. You know, I seen an ad the other night, doom scrolling on my phone before I went to bed. And it was about some sort of therapy they're doing now with some kind of drug, ketamine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
And
that.
I'm like, God, gee, I wonder, maybe that would be a good idea. Here I am, barely even struggling with anxiety, doing all kinds of things I never thought I would do. Yet that will quickly switch back in. And I have my wife now, where I will tell her everything. And I'm like, so I'm thinking about this. She's like, Adam, what are you thinking? Like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know better at this point, and I know that I have to be on guard. I try not to put myself in situations, obviously, where there's partying or drinking and stuff like that. Of course, I still have to be. I go to big events.
Sure.
Drinking is everywhere.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Luckily for me, drinking, I never really took that one to a level. That was always the gateway where, like, all right, well, Adam, I'll just drink.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't work either, because give me a year of
Right.
just drinking.
You know what goes good with drinking? Every other drug known to man.
Exactly, yeah. And it really is a drug. It's a
Yeah.
depressant, right? So
Sure.
why do that? Why, open that scab? And it's just a bad idea.
Cool. So you grew up always working with metal.
Yep.
You've been working at GE, all these other places, and you finally decide that you need to put the booze behind you and put the drugs behind you. And where does the art tie into this?
So when you master welding, which is very hard to do because there's many different types of it and stuff, I'm making the same parts.
Over
and
and
I'm
over.
making good money at General Electric. And it's just like not challenging enough for me, I think, looking back now.
Yeah.
And so then starts what are you doing on the weekends? Well, everybody around me is partying and doing this and doing that. And, I just found that I kept falling back into that. Now, you guys know that General Electric is known to lay off constantly.
Sure.
So there would be these periods of time where I'd be laid off. And I remember the last time I was laid off, I had bought a new welder, and I'm out in my garage, and I had this idea to build like this deer sculpture.
Cool.
Okay? And so I did that, and it was pretty cool, and I was really proud of it. And like a light bulb switched in my head where it was like, all right, Adam, well, maybe you could do this for a living.
Hell yeah.
Where you're mixing the artist in you with all the welding knowledge that you have. And, I put that deer head for sale on Facebook and sold it. And then I had another gentleman named Steve Scarfino down in Florida who had asked me to make a battle-worn flag for him. And I did that. And I can't remember exactly when it happened, but the idea just came to me like, I should start doing this, And so I came up with metal heads and made a website and started to build a community on social media. And it wasn't just like I started that and stopped working.
Right.
Of course, I got called back to GE and continued to go to shows and sell things and just foster that. And then, honestly, I had started drinking again and having trouble again with drugs and alcohol to the point where I just stopped going to work. And of course was fired and had to go to a rehab again. And then got cleaned up. And and stayed that way. And that's when things really started to take off, because I could fully engage myself in this idea and this company that I wanted to build, the vision behind it, and just without a monkey on my back, I could focus on what I wanted to do. And that's when all kinds of awesome things started to happen. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you got that kind of time and you've already got like a natural / given talent that you've been working on and fostering, and then it sounds like it was kind of an opportunity almost, you know what I mean, going to rehab and being laid off. That way you could be like, hey, I'm gonna put my time into this now and see if anything happens. You've already proven that it's a it works. Like, you can make some cool shit and sell it and just let it rip.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like the Cinderella story, where after 6 months I'm rolling in cash. I mean, it was nothing like that. It was like starting any other business, What do I charge for these? I have no business experience, really. How do I sell more of them? How do I cut costs? What do I even want this to be? And to try to build back to what I was making at General Electric was very, very difficult.
I'm sure.
Years and years later now, here I make more than I made there, but I'm still not killing. I don't know if I'll ever be like, I've made it, I just keep rolling with it. So I have started in the last, I would say, year, Stempka Designs, which is strictly just large scale sculpture work for like clients, private clients and stuff like that. But I still have Metalheads that does signage and flags and things like that. And things are really starting to come together. I'm just super grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between Stempka Designs and Metalheads? Like, particularly, if you put one design each, how would I be able to tell them apart, or which company it came from?
You would be able to tell completely, because Metalheads is like, these are our products, right? These flags in different sizes. They can be customized. You can put wording or sigils, badges to honor people, etc. Maybe some signage for a business or whatever. But as far as the sculpture work, like, I don't know if you've seen the 8-foot tall cello I did that went to Nashville, or like the piece for Penn State. Those are private clients where I sit down with them. We talk about maybe an idea they have or one that I have, and talk about a price. And of course, those things take months to build.
Sure.
And they're one of one. Like, nobody else has one. Right?
That's it.
I'm going to make you something that nobody else has, to the best that I possibly can. And so that is a way different price point than a flag for $300 or $500.
Yeah, like sheet metal.
Yeah. So yeah. Like the sculptures I make out of all kinds of different stuff, from all different kinds of stainless and copper and brass, and just really go overboard with making something completely unique.
How long did it take you to go from Metalheads to Stempka Designs?
Well, it took years. Really, it wasn't until about a year ago that I'm like, all right, Adam, well, you have to separate the two here, because I don't want this to sound bad, but the people that are buying flags or maybe a sign are not necessarily the same customers that want a custom piece of art.
Yeah.
That could cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And so I thought it was best from a business aspect to separate the two.
Right. It's smart branding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You identify that one this is one type of thing and this is another type of thing, and they have different groups that are interested in them, and they need to be separated.
Yeah.
Especially because then you can target, you know what I mean, with Stempka Designs.
Yeah. And they link to each other. I think most people, at least locally, know that I'm obviously involved in both of them. But yeah, I just want to work to, this is me as an artist completely at Stempka Designs, and then Metalheads is this other company that I've built that kind of just makes products, so.
Right. So with the manufacturing background, were there any difficulties like learning to manufacture on a bigger scale?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you've seen, you could look back through photos of, the early flags that I hand cut out every star myself, and then learning how to take that design and turn it into something that, not that I mass produce them, because I still hand paint, and my father helps me to paint them all, but I'm not physically cutting out every flag. You know,
Right.
that's my design and stuff. But you know, like how to paint them, the process of, you know, laying them out, and the airbrushing and the clearing and the drying, and just like anything else, you know, once you make a prototype, you have to take the time to make it cheaper in cost,
Right.
you know, for you as a business owner, and make it beautiful, make sure the quality stays up, and make money doing it, you know. So that is definitely a road that you have to travel down that takes time.
Right.
Yeah.
Learning to hone your craft and perfect it, make it more efficient.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what really has you what are you like really interested in making now? Like what's the thing, what's your like white whale, so to speak? What gets you really excited when somebody brings you a project?
So the point that I want to get to is where I have made a sculpture that I wanted to make, and enough people know who I am, where they come to me to purchase these. From a business aspect, I have worked with clients who come to me with their ideas, and then I help to design something. So it's like a group type thing. What has me most excited? Well, every challenge. I mean, that giraffe that I'm working on.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
Thank you so much. I had no idea how I was going to do that, you know, and that to me, that challenge is like scary but exciting, that someone entrusted me with the money to do this, and how am I gonna do it, and is it gonna turn out awesome? And you know, because at this level it's like everything has to turn out awesome.
It has to be perfect,
It
right?
has to be awesome, you know. And so I mean, all of these projects are really exciting for me. I mean, obviously doing the guitars for Luke Bryan was a huge step for me as an artist. And
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, what's it feel like, you know, getting the email or the phone call, you know, from, you know, it's like a private client, like you said, but just like, hey, we want you to make this guitar for Luke Bryan, like this just massive, like, country star. Was it like that, or was there kind of...
It was like that, and it was surreal, and I almost couldn't believe it. I remember crying, honestly, a couple times, because it's like, I just felt so blessed. Like, is this really happening?
That high is probably so much better than any drug you've ever done.
It is 100%. Yeah, that success and the delayed gratification of like, okay, you've been paid and asked to make this. Now you have to actually make it, and it has to be really, really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And get it there. And I remember the night after, you know, I'm at his house, and the one guitar goes to him personally. The other one goes for auction for his benefit at his ranch, where he's playing for the whole crowd, and Jason Aldean's there and all these different
Jesus.
people. And I remember going back home and literally dropping to my knees and crying, like, I cannot even believe this just happened. It is something that I will never, ever forget, and just legitimized me as an artist on just like a level that I could have never imagined in a million years. And
That whole process just must have been like a dream.
it was, it's a dream come true. And you'll have to go back and check out the pictures, because I'm learning to take more media of these things as I go. But I mean, they had all the ribbing. They are sized perfectly to an acoustic guitar, made of steel, silicon, bronze, copper, brass, strung. They played, you know, had the negative space cut out. They had lights inside of them. They had a stainless guitar pick and a clef note made out of copper and stuff. I mean, I just went all out with a copper cowboy hat. I mean, it was like over the top. I still smile, and even on my worst day, I think, how could you be unhappy, Adam? You know,
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
This is just, it's amazing, you know?
That would be like, I feel like something like that would be like the peak for so many people, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being invited, like with the podcast or something, to go to like some massive celebrity's house, or have them like, you know,
On the show?
And just
Yeah,
like
that's
have
like
that
life
kind
dreams.
of moment. That's like the coolest fucking thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you know, if I'm being honest, and I have to say this because it's the truth, that happened not because Adam Stempka is the greatest artist that ever lived, but God putting people in my life. Brent Yates, who is a philanthropist, and a wonderful person helped to make that happen. He's the gentleman that I made the cello for in Nashville, and we became friends. Justin Freed, who I grew up with, who owns NFI Empire, was huge and instrumental in that. Robbie Tebow, Tim Tebow's brother, was huge and helped that to come to fruition. And so those people, seeing what I did with the cello, had connections to show Luke, and that's how that all came to be. So it was just a whirlwind of God putting these people in my life, mixed with me working towards this dream that made that happen.
It's really incredible when you start thinking about like statistics and odds of like meeting this person, being at this place at this time, both of you together, when you could be doing any other number of things, and it just continuing to manifest along this path into where it became.
And I think that it also should be noted, like we were talking about, sometimes it's not necessarily like being the best artist or the best, musician or podcast or whatever. A lot of times, most of the time, it's about being the best version of yourself you can be, because that's what makes people want to work with you. That's what makes people go, hey, I can vouch for this guy, like Adam's a good dude and he does good work. Check out what he's done. He gets his shit done. He does, he's stand-up character. And that's huge. Like, you got to be the best version of yourself to be able to rise to these occasions.
Yeah, I would agree completely with that. And I guess that's a huge part of me getting sober, is that I had to work on myself and continue to. I'm still not the best version of Adam. I don't know that I ever will be, or you or anyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're absolutely right. As you continue to work towards that, taking care of yourself, doing the right thing, giving to people. This is a law. You could give your last $50 to somebody that needs it, and I guarantee you'll get 2 times that back in some way, shape, or form, whether it's an opportunity, somebody makes your day, money-wise. That law has been taught to me, and it is as real as anything else. Literally, the more that you give, the more you get. And I think as drug addicts or people that have dealt with addiction, we're so selfish.
It was all about me for so long.
It's all about you. You have to have your things, and you need what you want. You're taking from everybody. You flip that around, and you'd be amazed at what happens in your life.
And this is just like an aside. You made me think of it, but I've seen this happen in real life. I remember when I was younger, like when I was still like partying and stuff, and just super self-centered. I used to work with this guy, and we worked in a job where we got tips. Every Saturday, whatever he made in tips to the penny, he'd put in the collection plate at church the next day. He was like, I always make it back Sunday after church. And no matter how much it was, he always made that amount back. It was like the craziest thing to me. It blew my mind. But that's what you made me think of that.
Yeah,
with that.
it's true. It really is true. And it's like a law that God honors. I don't care if you sold everything you have and gave it away to somebody. You're going to get 2, 3, 10 times that back some way, somehow.
I really hope that works, because we got this event coming up. We're throwing a palooza for our 1-year anniversary, and we're taking literally all the money that we've made so far this year that we haven't spent on the equipment and throwing it towards this palooza. We're going to have bands. There's going to be food and drinks, and we're donating. It's completely free to go. And we are donating every penny that people do donate for admission. We're suggesting a $10 to $20 donation, but if you don't have any money, please still come. But we're taking all of that money and we're giving it back to clients at Cadenzia.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
And trust me, you will be blessed for doing that.
We're
not that you're
excited.
doing it for that reason, but I'm just telling you will in some way.
It feels like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It is the right thing to do.
It is absolutely the right thing to do. And we didn't come into this to get super exorbitantly wealthy or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We have the intention and the goal has always been to just like let Erie know that good things are going on, good people are here, and good things are happening, and you can make good things happen here for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you're making guitars for very famous people. You're making other items, and you're following your passion and your goals. And you even kind of brought this up early on that, like, Dad might not want you to go to art school because he wants you to find a successful job. He wants you to live comfortably and be financially free. But you've been able to, overcome that, because it's the chances of being a successful artist are a lot slimmer than being a successful finance manager or a banker or nurse or doctor or any of those other things that are out there. But if you continue to work towards it and you're passionate about it, you can make it happen, even in a place like Erie. You don't have to go to New York City or Nashville or any of those other geographical places.
Yeah, I mean, wherever you are, there's opportunity everywhere. I have to say this, too, because I know my father, we've talked about this, he always feels bad. I mean, he was just looking at me from a standpoint of a father.
No, absolutely. I don't want to say anything bad.
No, and you're not. But if you were to hear this, I just want him to know. And to come full circle, as I decided that this is what I wanted to do with my life, guess who was there helping me?
Yeah, you said he
every
helped you
step
paint.
to this day.
That's amazing.
And he's incredible. And thank God that I have him, because he comes with a wealth of knowledge in engineering and all these different things. And I mean, he was helping me today. We work hand in hand constantly. So, and the funniest part about this is now my son is 17, and guess what he wants to be? Not an artist, but a musician.
Okay.
And what is the first thought that comes into my mind? Well, Bryce, maybe you should go to school for some, business or something.
Yeah,
and work towards that over time, just like my father was trying to say to me. And I still don't know the answer to that. Do you let him go?
I mean, you don't have a choice.
Yeah, well, obviously, but you want to give him like
some good guidance,
advice.
a good push in the right direction, for sure.
But here I am doing now what I always wanted to do way back then, so I don't want to tell him not to, but of course you don't want to see him, your fear as a father is like, all right, he's going to try to be an incredible musician right out of the gate, really making no money, all the fears that would come with that. So yeah.
I mean, I don't think that there's unless you're like some child star, every artist, no matter what the form, is a starving artist for a little bit.
Yeah.
They don't blow up immediately. So like, as a parent, you don't want to see your kid hurting in any ways. Even if they're chasing their dream, you don't want to see them starving or struggling or whatever. So it definitely makes sense to want to have like a sensible pathway and chase the passions along with that.
Yeah.
There's a couple things that you brought up that I thought were really interesting, and one of them is that like you didn't do this by yourself.
No, I did not. 100%.
And having those support figures, whether it's your dad, whether it's your friends, whether it's whoever that you're talking with or hanging out with or spending time with, and having that little bit of support and that little bit of help just goes such a long way in everybody's journey.
It does. And I mean, I can remember. Well, I use to this day my father's pole barn. My uncles gave me equipment to help me build stuff. I mean, so many people were there to give and to help, and I won't forget that, nor do I.
Yeah.
Whenever I find somebody that I can help in some way, I try to pay it forward in the same way. It's never alone. And then, of course, God pulling the strings in so many different ways and bringing opportunity to me that I never thought possible. Another thing I would say is the community. Like, I'm on Facebook and Instagram a little bit, and I post things, and I have these people that are just so right there to comment and to share and build me up when I need it most. And like, I literally feel like I have this like huge family behind me, and that is like a wonderful feeling. It really is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Despite like all of the negative things that we push on Facebook, it can be like, or Instagram, any of the social medias, it really can be a very powerful tool when used in a good way, in a healthy way.
Well, it's funny too that you bring that up. The algorithms don't know the difference, right? So if you're constantly liking news articles or something negative, it's going to feed you more of that.
Exactly.
So I learned at one point, it's like, if there was somebody that had drama all the time in their Facebook feed, not that I didn't want to help them or anything, I can't be around that.
Right.
I just want to be around positive people heading in a certain direction upward, and that's what I surround myself with,
And there was another interesting thing that you brought that I thought of while you were talking about your son, and that is the cliche that like life is short, and I like strongly disagree with that, especially now that I'm in my 30s. And we got and now we're podcasting, you know what I mean? And it's funny because back when I was a wee lad, my parents bought me a camera here to like record stuff, and I had it and I used it for a little bit, and then I put it away and I never touched it again. You know, it sat there and it collected dust, and I never used it, and I didn't really follow that passion or that goal. And I didn't really have any mentors at that time that could be like, oh, this is how you do this is how you do that. And now here we are, probably close to 20 years later, and we got all this recording equipment, we got cameras, we got a bunch of monitors, everything's going on, you know?
Yeah.
And the point that I'm trying to make, I guess, is that it's never too late to try something different. You know what I mean?
No.
Your son goes to art school, learns how to, or, you know, music school, whatever, does a band, does music for a while. It doesn't work out for him. He still has plenty of time left to figure out what does work for him.
Exactly.
And hopefully it does work for him. You know what I mean? Fingers crossed, everything, the stars line up. He meets the right people. He makes a phenomenal rock group or whatever he's trying to do.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work out, there's nothing but time. That's all we really have in this life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree to that. It's a journey. And I think that things happen exactly when they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Like I was telling you guys earlier when we first met, I don't know that I would have been prepared for this. I know I would not have been prepared for where I'm at right now, had I not gone through all of those things, to keep my ego in check, get all these monkeys off my back, learn the lessons, you know, to be prepared to run at the level that I am now. It wouldn't have happened.
Right. It's all like a matter of tolerance building, especially when you're early on getting clean. Because I don't know I can't speak for you guys, but I know that anything would make me want to drink or use. You know what I mean? I had a rough day at work. I had somebody's annoying me. Somebody called me an asshole. Somebody beeped at me on the car ride home, or, you know, anything. It didn't take much of an excuse. Yeah. And instead of actually like learning to tolerate and work through those emotions or those feelings, which is what you have to do when you're clean, you know, anything that used to make you want to drink, make you want to use, you actually have to work through that. You know what I mean? You got to build that tolerance for bullshit and for anxiety and for depression and for fear and for whatever else, to be able to persevere through it to make it to where you need to go at the end of the day.
I mean, I agree with that, obviously, but I kept thinking, you know, if I was like an artist or doing something on my own that was extremely successful and I was still using and I got a large sum of cash at once, I'd probably be dead.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
That too, you know, like.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And there was a couple, like, for example, when I was going down to this event at Luke Bryan's.
Yeah.
It would be at those times that alcohol's everywhere. Man, this would just lighten things a little bit, you know, and you get that win from not touching it.
Right.
And then it becomes easier, you know, the next event, coming here, wherever it is that is out of my comfort zone that I've never done before, and not leaning on drugs or alcohol. It becomes a little bit easier each time, for sure.
It's just building that tolerance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Building that ability to go through the things that are uncomfortable and not give up. And even if you fuck up or you fail or you mess something up, you know what I mean? You step back up to the plate next time and you get back on that horse and you try again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's something you really want and something you really believe in, you don't give up on yourself before the miracle happens.
And then, like, from the practical side, like you said, you learn to become a master welder. Like, you put all these tools in your, your box or whatever that allowed you to make this, like, really unique and different kind of art that if you wouldn't have learned those skills beforehand, you wouldn't have been able to accomplish, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what would I have been an artist in? Would I have been, you know, drawing or something else? You're absolutely right. Those skills mixed with my love of art, now it just happened to be at the right time when Adam was ready to even do this. And, you know, the timing of it all is just divine.
Yeah,
right?
Right.
It really is.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't want to make this the Adam show. I mean, this is any person.
This is the Adam Show today.
Today it is.
Every person gets a gift. I am 100% convinced. And they already know what it is. Maybe they don't believe right now that they could actually do it or whatever, but I am a firm believer that everybody has a gift and something that they would really love to do. And your time is coming. You know, you can do it. You just got to own that role of, like, what are you? I'm an artist. This is what I do.
Yeah.
and really believe it and own it and do all the pieces that takes, the next thing you know, you're there.
Did that make you feel uncomfortable referring to yourself as an artist at first? It makes
No,
me feel.
no.
It makes me feel real. It made me feel really, really weird telling people I'm a podcaster early on in this process.
Yeah.
I mean, even just like a couple days ago, we went to this creative
Crowd.
where it's like a social network in between creative people. And, you know, even doing this like a year, what do you do? Oh, podcaster, you know,
Right?
I guess, you know.
Yeah. Well, the more you keep saying that, I think
The easier it gets,
you'll
right?
believe it more, and you'll take it more seriously, and you'll refine it until you are a podcaster, and your podcast is growing and it's doing incredible things. And
Yeah.
just keep that vision,
Right.
You know.
And the thing is, that vision, just like yours, it transforms. You know what I mean? It started out as a podcast. Now I'm doing photography and videography and recording all of this other stuff. And we've recorded a couple songs and done other, you know, it just kind of builds and transforms,
Yeah,
you know,
it
and it's
does.
just staying in that same vein.
Yeah.
And going in that direction, and it spreads yourself
And isn't
out.
that exciting?
Oh my God, it's incredible, dude.
Awesome.
Isn't that exciting? I mean, you know, these are the things that you're not thinking about when you're doing drugs.
Right.
You know, you're not even conceiving of these cool thoughts or what might be with your life because you're just so clouded in that buzz and how you feel. Life can be really awesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm telling the people that may be struggling right now that it can be way more awesome than you can fathom, you know.
Whatever you think, I'm looking at the camera now because this is
I'm
for
looking
you
at
out
you guys
there.
too.
Whatever you think the first step you make to change your life, what your wildest dreams will be, it'll be nothing like that, and it will also be so much better.
Yeah, well said. That is true.
Absolutely.
That is true. And I remember how difficult it is at first and for a while. But man, the payoff to that, you know, after you've been down so low is, man, as you start to work through that, you can just rock it because you've learned so many very difficult life lessons going through that, in my opinion, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
You get. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You,
I was just gonna ask you about what kind of art. Is there any art that out there that inspires you?
ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Do you have like a favorite artist or type of art?
I'm sure there's music that you listen to that you like to throw on when you're in the shop.
If you seen my playlist, you'd be like, this man is schizophrenic.
I love that.
I grew up absolutely obsessed with Tool. I love them. I still do. Mars Volta,
Oh hell yeah,
King Gizzard.
King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard.
yeah.
They're my boys. I've just started listening to them like a year
it's
ago. They're
just
fantastic.
So interesting
It's
and
good.
so out of the realm of. But you know, I can also get down with some '80s, '90s Michael Jackson and some Bach and Billie Eilish and
Yeah.
gangster rap and you know, I mean, just all over the place. But I know when something's good. You know, and I save it in my playlist, and there's just thousands of songs that are just completely opposite from one another, and yeah, I mean, music 100% inspires me. And when I'm creating, I have my ear pods in, and I'm jamming. And
Hell
I'm
yeah.
going with that music, and it's funny. Oh, to answer your question, is there someone that inspires me? I mean, when I scroll through Instagram, I'm inspired by all kinds of art and things that I think are incredible. I try not to look at it too much because I don't want to be influenced by it.
That seems to be a common theme that comes up amongst a lot of the artists, is that they want to embody their truest self
Yeah.
in their art, and they don't want a lot of outside influences trying, like, kind of convincing them to go a certain direction. So that's
Yeah.
really interesting you said that.
Yeah, it's true because, you know, being that I'm such a visual person and I've picked up all these things throughout my life on what I thought was really awesome and stuff, you know, that's what I pull from visually in my imagination when I'm creating something. And so if I'm taking in all these other people's work all the time, that's what I'm going to be pulling from. That's what my work is going to resemble to a point. Now, I do think that studying art and real art is incredible as well, and you can learn a lot from it. But finding your own path into what you do differently than everybody else requires me to shut myself off from it a little bit. And you know, part of me is happy that I wasn't professionally trained in art.
Yeah.
I know a lot of great artists that come out of art school and they're just like petrified to share what they make. I don't know what they do to them in art school when they critique them, but like, and they know what's really good, and they themselves may be incredible artists, but they are so afraid to like put their stuff out there and, excuse my language, shit all over their own work to the point where they never even find excitement in their work, or you know, and I feel sorry for them.
I can speak on that for a minute because like I went to, you know, that's what I majored in English and writing, and that's what I've always done is writing, and I'm my harshest critic too. The best way I can explain it from how I was taught is like when you go to school for some type of art discipline, it's almost treated like math. Like it's a subjective thing, and you can get to, you know, a point in many different ways, but you look at it with more of like a logical brain instead of
a checklist.
Exactly. Like I can look at a paragraph I write or like a couple pages I write and give it to someone, and they're like, it's beautiful, and I'm like, yeah, but like the syntax, you know, and like I repeated words here, and it's like, dude, just chill out. I'm like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I was not taught this way.
Yeah, no, I feel for you. And so when you're creating something, like the act of doing it is what is so awesome. And when you're feeling excited about it, you should know that at that point it's ready to be shared with other people. And trust me, not everybody's going to like your stuff.
Right.
So you got to get over that real quick. But there's going to be a lot of people that do like your stuff, and that's great. Now they're on your team, and your team will grow as you share more and more of your work, and you continue to get better at it and get more tools, and just keep going, you know. I know what that feels like, though. Like, so I have my studio in my shop, and there's customers in and out of there all the time. Maybe they're picking up flags or dropping off things or whatever. And, you know, there's my giraffe that's half done. And my father's first instinct is to come check this out. And I'm like, no,
Don't look at it yet.
Don't look at it yet. It's not done. And he's like, Adam, what are you talking about? It's beautiful. I'm like, no, I want them to see it when it's done. So
Right.
they're wowed. But I have learned that from a social media standpoint and content creation, that people like to see the process.
Oh yeah.
They do. And that gives me a constant feed of, you know, releasing what's at this stage or it's at that stage. So I've gotten over that. And I really, probably partially because of my past, I just, no fucks given.
Yeah, right.
You know, like I'm in this. And I know it's not the best artwork ever, and I wasn't professionally trained, but I'm proud of it. And then the next piece is better, and the next
Right.
piece is better. It's like whatever. You know?
I feel that very much on like a personal level, especially recently. We like released a music video, and I was super. I'm mostly proud of it. There's a couple of things that I would change, but like at the end of the day, the things that I can fix, it helped me recognize the things that I can fix, and the next one's going to be better. You know what I mean? And it's all just part of that process, you know,
is.
of just putting it out there, saying like, this is where I'm at so far. I'm proud of it. I don't care what the fuck you guys think about it. Whoever thinks about it, that I'm happy with it, and I'm pumped about it. For where I'm at in my process, and the next one's going to be better. You know what I mean? And you continue to just improve and build on that.
And you look at anybody that you respect, and I don't care if it's from a music or directing or whatever, go back and look at their first stuff.
Right. It's not going to be the same.
It's not going to be usually as good.
That person that you think is so awesome because you just seen that movie and stuff, that happened because that person continued to keep refining and working on that till they got to the point where you watched that movie and that movie blew you away.
Right.
You know, I think that a lot of people think that they're going to try their hand at something and it's instantly going to be fire and going to take over the world, and it's just not that way. Now, don't get me wrong, that happens in a very smallest of percentages, but for the majority of you, it's like anything else. You're just putting in the work to get better, you know?
Right.
One thing I've learned as an artist, which I'm still working on, is never point the flaws out to people, you know? Because we're always critiquing our own work, and it's like you don't want to present something to somebody but then show them all of the things you think are wrong with it, you know?
One of the things that I like about that, or that I've noticed about that, is that it's not, they shouldn't be pointed out as flaws. They should be creative, because if you don't say like, this is where I fucked up, then it's like creative license. True. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he did this on purpose. That's part of the whole vibe, or the...
And it really is, because someone that's going to buy your piece of work, they want to look at it and they want to see the process of how this person did that. And of course there's going to be mistakes, and they're going to study that thing for years, and that's part of the story of it, and your blood, sweat, and tears to create it. So yeah, you're right.
I was in a bunch of different art galleries in Miami, and those like little, they might be intentional, but those little fuck ups, like that seems to be what like the big time artists do. It's like they're not a fuck up, but their trademark. That's how you know their art. They put the little, this little paint stroke on the left corner. Like, oh my God, that's a Picasso. Do you see how he did that eye, like a little curve in it or something? So.
Yeah.
And I think that brings out like one of the things that is truly and innately artistic is it's human nature. You know what I mean? Yeah. Human beings aren't perfect. I'm never going to create anything that's perfect ever in my life, anything. And allowing it to have that mistake or have that flaw or have that creative licensure, since we're using that now, is it allows it to be art rather than it's something that's manufactured by a machine or whatever.
Yeah, no, I would say that you're absolutely correct. Of course, we're never going to make anything perfect, but you will, to put it in video games terms, like you said earlier, level up.
Hell yeah.
You level up until, you're at as high as you want to go, really.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned movies, and we were talking about this upstairs. You got a pretty cool project coming up in September, you said?
Yeah. So it's out in the blue now. The gentleman that contacted me to be a part of this has put the flyers out. So Gary Sinise will be coming to town on September 11th, putting on a first responders event. So all the first responders in the area will be able to go there. There'll be food, there'll be music. And of course, Gary Sinise runs the Gary Sinise Foundation, where that money goes to help veterans and all kinds of great things. And so I have been asked to make a sculpture, and that sculpture will be unveiled on stage on September 11th and then be auctioned off to raise money for the foundation. So I'm really excited about that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Is this one of the pieces that you get to make yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Or not like make yourself, because I know you make all the stuff, but
this is all my design, and 100%. So, I mean, all of the pieces that I make are my design. I mean, they come to me with an idea, and I do mock-ups on an iPad or hand draw them in different views to try to portray. It's actually the hardest part of my job. How do you portray something three-dimensional, made, on a piece of paper? But thank goodness people have given me that opportunity, and now they can see. I always keep the pictures of the drawing and the finished product, so I can say, here's what I drew this gentleman, this is what I created. And I've done that now several times, so that when they see the drawing, they know that what they're going to get. It's
right.
Incredible. So yeah,
cool. So that's very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And he's doing a fundraiser downtown.
Yeah. I can't off the top of my head. I think it's at Erie Insurance is a huge sponsor. Sunbelt Rentals is a huge sponsor. There's other companies that are sponsoring this. But there will be auctions and things. But I mean, the event, I believe, is free for first responders. And so
hell yeah.
The music, the food, I think things will be given away. Chip Foose will be there. The car designer and stuff will be there. A lot of other people, will be there. It's going to be a big event, and so I'm excited
awesome.
about it. Yeah.
So, how many projects do you work on like at a given time? I know that feeling, buddy. Yeah. I know that feeling.
So right now, concurrently, I have the giraffe, a project for the Temple Anchi Hassad, which is a big project. And
it's a really cool temple too. I just went there for the first time a month or so ago.
Yeah, I made the stainless light up menorah that's on the front of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then I also am doing this piece for the Gary Sinise. So all 3 of those are happening concurrently, and it's the most I've ever handled at one time. And so it's taken me, Adam, get up in the morning, go right to the gym, eat good, sleep good. Got to be on the top of my game here because all of these things have to be amazing and hit their times when they're needed. So yeah, I'll probably try to avoid that in the future, but it just seems like that's kind of the way this went down, and so
It's hard to say no to a good opportunity.
it is, and I don't want to. And I don't know if you've seen my post. I think it was yesterday, but so Stempka Designs has stopped taking on any more sculptures until the 4th quarter, so October, because we are filled to capacity.
That's a good feeling, though.
It is a good feeling. It's a great feeling. That's what all my friends say, because I'll send out a message like, I'm a little stressed at the moment, trying to handle all this. They're like, well, Adam, that's a good problem to have,
right?
But
it's always like I came into this room real fucking hungry, and then I went to the buffet and filled my plate, and now I'm having buyer's remorse. It's like,
well, yeah, I'm trying to just learn to realistically schedule things out. One of these sculptures at least takes 3 months, at least, and so I have to be real when someone comes to me with a more realistic time frame. But we'll get it. We always do.
Absolutely. I believe in you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I do too.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you.
This has been real fun kicking it with you today, Adam.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Awesome time.
Yeah.
It's really good to hear about your story. You know what I mean? Just coming up and keeping at it and doing amazing things. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for coming out and hanging out with us in the studio today.
Well, it's been my pleasure, and I think that my story is like anybody's story, right? I think that everybody is going.
Everybody
through
has this story.
Yeah, and it may not be drugs, or it'll be something completely different, but we're all fighting through something, So
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody out there that listened. Thanks to all our Patreon people, all of our sponsors. You guys are the best. We love you. Peace.
Peace.